What's happening, everybody? Willie here at the Great Outdoors. That's right, here at the Great Outdoors, where the beer is warm, the coffee's cold, and the smell of hops gun oil fills the air. What more could a person possibly ask for, you might say? Well, I'll tell you. Went shopping the other day. Hit a couple of antique stores, haven't been to in quite some time. I do like to leave a little time in between hitting these antique stores because it gives them time to rotate some new, that's right, new old inventory through the store. Now, what did I find? Well, I found several of the things I always find. I think I found 3 Zebco 33s, 2 202s, and a 404. I found 1 Mitchell 300. And more big boat bait casters, saltwater editions, than you could possibly ever in your lifetime want to see. And once you've seen them, you're done, because you see the same thing over and over. I would love to know how many Penn boat rods and reels, big, huge shark bait caster tuna swordfish reels were actually built in this world, because man, do we have a bunch of them around here. Of course, we are a saltwater based area more so than we really are freshwater, which kind of puts me on the outer threshold of why don't I saltwater fish? Well, that is a story for another day. Could be tomorrow, may not ever happen. Who knows? I don't. But what I did find, I'm going to show you, because I've already fixed them, because you've already seen videos on me fixing these particular reels, so I'm just going to show you what I got. Shakespeare, 1775. This one looked better, covered in dust and dirt, than any of the other 2 that I had. That's right, I have 2. Now I've got 3. So I took all 3 of them, put them together, and made this one really nice one. And it is really nice. I had this hand crank left over from a purchase from Matt's Reel Repair. And this thing cleaned up really nice. It's got a little bit of a dent right there in the cap, but that's about it. This also is one of those types that your drag is the entire cap there. Works really good. Looking very forward to using that. That thing right there has got more personality. I just can't even begin to tell you. I mean, it doesn't even have any chips in the paint on the foot. Another one of those reels that may have never gotten used. There was no line on the spool. We don't care about this one. We've already seen it. So let's move on to the next one. Well, one of those dang Zebco 33s. I got it for $2. So I brought it on home. Now, the cap had a big dent in it. I actually had a cap that would fit it. This is a cap to a Zebco Spinner 33. So it's a little bit different, yet it still fits. What was wrong with this reel? Well, when I got it and shook it, it had something loose inside and flopping around. What was it, you might ask? Well, go ahead and ask. I'm glad you asked. It was a little metal clicker that's on the inside of the body that goes around the gear, and when you're retrieving, it goes clickety, clickety, clickety. Also, there's supposed to be a switch right there that you switch. Also, there's supposed to be a switch right there that when you click it over, you can click it into old bait mode, old pulling it off the line, clickety clickety bait mode. Well, I never used that and never have. I can't think of a time I ever have. I'm sure it has a good purpose and a good reason, and I'm sure a lot of you probably used it, but I didn't want to see this reel just sit there and never get fish simply because it doesn't have a bait clicker. I actually took the button out, so I took it off. It is smooth as glass, it has a good anti-reverse, and what else do you need? Works great. I mean, look at that's a Zebco. That works really good. Very surprised. Zebco 33. Anyway, a Shakespeare 2062. That's right, I got another one now. This one was filthy, dirty, nasty. Just cleaned it up. I mean, cleaned it up, took, some Dawn dishwashing detergent, took it completely apart, scraped all the old grease out of it. The bearing has one bearing in the middle there for your spinner, your rotator, your rotation device there in the middle. Works really good, doesn't have any, I mean, there's a few skippy boppity bips every so often, but man, other than that, very smooth reel, works really well. So now I've got 2 2062s. What am I going to do with 2 2062s? I don't know. I'm going to fish with them. At some point, I mean, might do a little, I don't know, do some bass fishing. Just bass. I'll just take this as a bass fishing reel. I got another one set up the same way. I think I showed you in the video just a week ago or two or whatever. Anyway, it ended up working really well. It's a very nice, well put together reel. I like them. 2062. If you get a 2052, that's where you need to be in the smaller for the ultralight. Talked about that in the last video. Let's just not talk about it anymore. Probably talked about it too much as it is. Let's go on to the one that you've never seen before, because I've never seen it before myself. I was very surprised. It is Japanese. Whew. So anyway, what do we got here? We got an LIDO. 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 What is a LIDO? I don't have any idea. It's an LIDO number 400. This is a Japanese spin cast reel, which if you look, hold on. Which if you look at it really close, it is very, very, Sears-ish, you know, like something you'd have seen come out of Sears with probably Ted Williams' name on it or something, or it had some other name or number or thing or whatever. It's very cool in its own way. It almost reminds me of some type of furniture. They have a word for it. Those people that buy and sell furnitures, they know what I'm talking about. There's an era, you know, for each of those things. And, you know, where you went from wingback chairs in the colonial days to square furniture of the 60s and things like that. You know what I'm saying. I'm not an interior designer or anything. But anyway, what we're going to do is tear into this thing, see what it's all about, the LIDO. LIDO? LIDO. LIDO? LIDO. I still think LIDO is funnier. Say what you want. But I've never torn into a LIDO. And let's just see what we got here, because I think the cleanup will probably take more time than everything else. All right, LIDO. It's very thick, but it seems to be working. Let's take this cap off here and see what we're dealing with. Wow, a lot of threads. Oh, okay. Well, this little stopper doodah for the string line, I don't know how long that's going to last, because I'm going to tell you right now, that is crispy. I'm not joking. Colonel Sanders has never seen anything like that. Anyway, let me get a screwdriver here. Sometimes, you know, sometimes maybe it's not as much about fixing as it is exploring, you know, just seeing something new, something different. What's it all about? Well, oh, Daiwa. No way. People, people. I don't know if you could see that in there. It says Daiwa inside. Daiwa hard chrome over. Hard chrome over? And there's something in the middle there I can't read because that says Daiwa. I will be dang. Dang is what I will be. Might be able to get parts for this darn thing. All right, we got a bunch of line. That's obviously got to come off there. If you don't have one of these, you are missing out. Ta-da! It's making me wonder what I've got here. This may be so fancy I can't even put it together. This is pretty nifty. I had no idea this was a Daiwa. It says Daiwa right there. I don't know if you can see that or not. Hey, Evan.
Yeah.
Come here a minute. This crazy Japanese reel that I didn't know what was?
Yeah.
Look what it says in there.
Daiwa. Huh. That's funny.
I saw one of these on eBay for $75. And I was like, nah, come on, somebody's nuts. And I just took it apart and it's even. Pretty nifty.
Nothing on the outside?
No, it says LIDO. LIDO. So we are in the.
Is that the button?
That's the button.
Huh. Is it plastic or metal?
It's metal. I mean, everything about it seems to be metal. So I'm winging it here, trying to take this thing apart.
So that's a on foot.
Pat Pending, made in Japan. See, that Pat Pending person, they get a lot of money. Design registered. All right. Let's see here. Okay. That came off. The bolt goes through toward the L side there, like that. It has a nut on the other side, which this is evidently not steel because it... Okay, that does not... Does this come off? Took a little bit of effort to get that acorn nut to come off there. We know it's got a drag button on the left side. Uh-oh. Where'd that go? What was it? I think it was a washer, but I don't know where it went. There it is. This is why I like these magnets. So it has a spacer washer on the side right here. Well, maybe we just unscrew that. Let's see. This looks like a big bolt or like acorn nut of some kind. Oh, we got two washers on that side. Let's put those in there. Any more? All right, let's open this wrench up. Hopefully it'll open that big. Ooh, just barely. Yep, we just unscrew here. I don't know if anything comes out of there. Well, we'll leave it like it is for right now. We have a ring, lock ring that goes there as so. Wow, okay. We'll just set that in here. This is where things are getting a little bit weird. I can't figure out how this button comes out. I swear I feel like this is supposed to come off, but I really don't want to break it. This has been one of the coolest ones I've found in quite a while. Yeah, okay. So that nameplate pries up off of there. Things are starting to make sense. Okay, so our LIDO plate comes off, then your button comes out. Ooh, that poor button looks like it's been chewed on by an angry beaver. I can't really see down in there because the grease is so bad. It looks like there's a C-clip right there, and if I take that off, I should be able to slide the gear right out the top. Man, this is going to be a son of a gun to put back together. There's a tiny cotter pin. Ouch, that just stuck me in the finger. There's a tiny cotter pin in there. At least that's what it looks like. So, it is. It's a tiny cotter pin. That's going to make things a little bit more complicated. Why couldn't we have used something a little different than that? How old is this thing? All right, look at that, my friends. I don't know if you can see that or not. That's a little teeny tiny cotter pin. And there's a little washer that sits on top of the spring. There's a little washer that sits on top of the spring that the cotter pin that holds this in or down so the spring don't fly off. Now, is the spring flying off? No. Matter of fact, I'm having a hard time getting it off. Oh, there it is. Not having a hard time anymore. That's brass, by the way. That's pretty darn cool. Oh, well, that gear fell out. And there we have our pinion gear and our spring. And then we have the crank gear, which has some crazy looking stuff. You have this horseshoe shaped piece. Then you have a washer that evidently doesn't come off. It looks like it has a flat side that goes down. Then we have this washer here, which fits on a certain way evidently. Yeah, you have a pin right there. There's a pin sticking out of the crank gear. So there, you notice there's a notch in the washer. I don't know if you can see it or not, if it's focusing on anything, but that notch has to go over that. And there's that and that. Now you have a drag button here. Seems to be moving quite well, actually. I don't know if I'm gonna fool with that. But what we're gonna do now is go get some stuff cleaned up here. Let's get some of this stuff cleaned up, and I shall return, and we'll try to get this thing put back together correctly, because it being a DIY, very, very curious about some things. The line part there, which I'm assuming used to be some form of actual rubber, it is not anymore. I have to see if we can still get that. Give old Matt's Reel Repair a call. Okay, I am back after one of the most extensive cleanings I have ever cleaned. Now, I have cleaned out some pretty nasty, I'm not joking, some pretty nasty reels in my time. And this one was, well, let's put it this way. You can imagine it was in there. It was an extensive cleaning. But all in all, it did clean up really well. There's a lot to this reel that's hidden. Of course, again, Daiwa stamped on the inside there. We got all of this cleaned up. The brass is gorgeous. I love cleaning the brass, man. It's just incredible. You know, your pinion shaft here looks really good. That's all brass. I cleaned that up. The only, I think the only really disappointing part here was I had the toothbrush and I was going, and I mean a toothbrush, and I was going over everything, and the paint immediately started coming off of the name tag. And that was with a toothbrush. So unfortunately, the LIDO 400 lost a little bit of its name. But that's okay. That's all right. You know, again, I don't collect these things. I use them. So we are going to put it back together now as best we can remember. I didn't clean inside very hard once I saw that the toothbrush took the name tag apart. I didn't clean in there very hard, so the Daiwa stamp is still in there. And also what we couldn't read in the middle is pass, P-A-S-S, which evidently means, you know, this one made it through. This one snuck through. Kind of a strange place to put it though. You would have thought it had been stamped somewhere that it would have been easily seen, but I guess around the center section there is okay. The center hole, the D-shaped hole there, is in great shape. There's no pressure on it at all. First thing I'm going to do is get me a clean wire brush around these threads, because this is actually threaded. So the first thing we're going to do is put the crank gear in. This crank gear had this washer that went on first, and as you can see, it's kind of keyholed. That's got to go on there. Then we had this thingamawhatsit that I have no idea what it does, but it evidently does something. Now let me see, I think there was a flat side. Yeah, that was. So that goes on that way. And there we have the thingamawhatsit, the doohickey together. Then that goes through. Then we have this doomawaki. I'm pretty darn sure there was nothing else. Then this goes on. Get the water off of that. Get that ring to fit back where it was at. Put that back on there like that. You want to make sure the threads line up correctly. Where's my wrench? This would have been a lot easier with a socket, but you know how that goes. I wasn't able to clean the cotter pin at the sink because I was very much afraid it would get out of my hand and go down the sink, because this thing is tiny. I am not kidding. I mean, look at, I don't know if you can see it, that's the cotter pin, right? I mean, that thing is just tiny. Let's get this shaft back in here. Okay, I got the gear on there. I would like to pretend that I can feel what it was like for the people at Daiwa when they were putting this thing together. But I'm sure that those fellas at Daiwa could do this in a matter of seconds. They could probably build this entire reel so much faster than me. Okay, I gotta slide that spring down. You have to pry the spring. It's tapered on one end. That spring is tapered on one end, and it is extremely hard to get it to go over top of that. It looks like if you could spin and you could screw it into the spring itself, but there's just no way to hold all of that. And to do that, now the fun part, and this little washer has got to go in there. This must have been before C-clips is all I can figure. Man, what a son of a gun this is. To get that little pin through that hole. Did I do it? There's no way I did that on the first try. That never happens. Danged if I did. No. The washer's raised up on one side. Let me see if I did it. I think I did it. Man, there's just no way. Okay, I don't think y'all can see in there. I'm going to show you anyway, but the spring pushes up on the washer. You have to hold the spring down in place to put the washer over top, then to try to get the cotter pin through the little hole over top of both sides of the washer without one side flipping up and you're going under it on one side and over it on the other. I didn't like it. I didn't like it a bit. That was no fun at all. We're going to go with that. That was probably some of the most tedious work that I've ever done on a reel. Whew. Okay. Maybe we'll put the crank arm on now, because that took these two washers right here. That went right there like that. All right, that went there because there were two on that. Our crank arm, which cleaned up really well. That's snug for now. Spool. We'll go there. And then we will take our C-clip, pop that on. This thing is the thing that needs to be replaced. This is your line catch. It needs to be replaced, and I need to call and find out whether or not that can be gotten. I'm pretty sure it can, which if you notice on the top here, it also has the little provisions here for a twist-in version of that. So maybe, just maybe, there's another newer slash older slash something I can find version of this string catch. Let's just snug it down. This is the wrong screwdriver for that. Now, we got to get this button in there, which cleaned up really well, by the way. We'll get that in there. Catch that. Come out the other side with it. This you'll definitely have to watch, because if this comes off and you lose it, you're in bad shape. You might be able to find something somewhere down the line to fit it. But this was another, when you see all the technology that's went into this reel and how they did it, and then you see that they ran a bolt and a nut to hold the knob on, or the button, it's kind of funny really. It's giggly. It makes me giggle, that's what it is. I'm not going to say that you are going to marvel at this reel, but it is kind of impressive. Cap cleaned up pretty good. Just a little bit of oil in these threads, because there's a lot of threads on this one. This one does not just come right off. Got a little bit of a growl to her, but not much. I'm doing the thing. I tell you, this one's a pretty impressive one to do the thing on. I'm not joking. I have to say, this is the first version of this design that I have ever dealt with. The way that this one came apart and did not have a bottom half that, came apart, what I'm saying. You had to actually take the button out and the crank arm and all that off to get the gear out, to get it was pretty cool. Very cool way to put something together. I very much enjoyed this one, even though the washer on top of the spring and the pin kind of didn't care for that much. And I'm really not happy that the nameplate got scratched from the toothbrush, but it's very old paint, and I mean, it's a soft bristle brush. It is not like I'm using a wire brush trying to clean it, and it just took the paint off. And it is what it is. Like I said, I don't collect them. I use them. So hopefully we're going to get this one out there, and I know I'm taking my time cleaning this one up, but I want to get everything off of it and let you see it. The LIDO, or what is it? LODI? What it used to be, I can't remember now. LIDO number 400. LIDO number 400. Shining like a diamond. A black diamond. And working quite well. Hit the button, cast away. Now the only thing is that little line detainment device on the top, I'm not joking, that thing is dry. It is dry. I'm not joking. It is as dry as... It's dry. I hear a little something, but I don't know what I'm hearing. Rubbing in there somewhere, but that'll work itself out. It will self-clear after a while. But anyway, made by Daiwa. How incredibly cool is that? To open something up and see Daiwa stamped on the inside. In several places, actually. A couple places anyway. Stamped on the top and stamped in the rotor and stuff. That's pretty neat. That's pretty cool. So I did see one of these on eBay when I first looked it up that said $75. And it had the box and all that stuff. I don't see that. But you know how that goes. What someone asks for a reel and what they get are two different things. Always look at what they sold for, not what they're asking, because unless you're a collector and you really gotta have this reel, if you're a Daiwa fanatic or something, and you pay $75 for a nice, really nice, hardly ever used, it's still in the box with the paperwork kind of reel. Okay, I get it, but again, we use these things, and the only thing I think that's kind of weird to me about this one is look how straight the button is. I mean, there is no angle to it. It is straight up and down. So once you put that on the rod, what is that going to feel like? I don't know. But we're darn sure going to find out come springtime. I know it's what you're saying. Springtime? Well, it's winter here, and the fish just ain't doing what they do, So this is my wintertime gig. I got to find some of these. We're going to do some traveling, going to do some riding around, checking out some state parks and things like that, and we'll take you guys along for the ride. Might do some trout fishing if I get the chance. I don't see this thing going trout fishing. It could though. I mean, it ain't like I couldn't use it for that, but going to try to get out and do some trout fishing this year. I've tried for 2 years, and unfortunately my trout fishing spot got sold. Yeah, it got sold. It was a rather huge farm with a river running right through the middle of it, and I was able to fish it. Well, the farm got sold and to some other people, and they don't want anybody else over there. I don't know that I blame them. I'm not sure I'd want me around either. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed this. I had a good time with this one. Very good. Something different, something new. See you on the next one. Whatever the next one maybe. Now I'd like a big fat glass of chocolate milk just before I go to bed. That's right. Nothing wrong with that. I always liked it when I was a kid, and I like it now. I ain't got any problems with it. Y'all shouldn't either. Hey boo, how else the chocolate milk?